Go back. Okay, let's try this again. All right. We are on chapter 27, section 5, the healing example. The only way to heal is to be healed. The miracle extends without your help, but you are needed that it can begin. Accept the miracle of healing, and it will go forth because of what it is. It is its nature to extend itself the instant it is born, and it is born the instant it is offered and received. No one can ask another to be healed, but he can let himself be healed and thus offer the other what he has received. Who can bestow upon another what he does not have? And who can share what he denies himself? The Holy Spirit speaks to you. He does not speak to someone else. Yet by your listening, his voice extends because you have accepted what he says. Health is the witness unto health. As long as it is unattested, it remains without conviction. Only when it has been demonstrated is it proved, and must provide a witness that compels belief. No one is healed through double messages. If you wish only to be healed, you heal. Your single purpose makes this possible. But if you are afraid of healing, then it cannot come through you. The only thing that is required for a healing is a lack of fear. The fearful are not healed and cannot heal. This does not mean the conflict must be gone forever from your mind to heal, for if it were, there were no need for healing then. But it does mean, if only for an instant, you love without attack. An instant is sufficient. Miracles wait not on time. The holy instant is the miracle's abiding place. From there, each one is born into this world as witness to a state of mind that has transcended conflict and has reached to peace. It carries comfort from the place of peace into the battleground and demonstrates that war has no effects. For all the hurt that war has sought to bring, the broken bodies and the shattered limbs, the screaming dying and the silent dead, are gently lifted up and comforted. There is no sadness where a miracle has come to heal, and nothing more than just one instant of your love without attack is necessary that all this occur. In that one instant, you are healed, and in that single instant is all healing done. What stands apart from you when you accept the blessings that the holy instant brings? Be not afraid of blessing, for the one who blesses you loves all the world and leaves nothing within the world that could be feared. But if you shrink from blessing, will the world indeed seem fearful? For you have withheld its peace and comfort, leaving it to die. Would not a world so bitterly bereft be looked on as a condemnation by the one who could have saved it, but stepped back because he was afraid of being healed? The eyes of all the dying bring reproach, and suffering whispers, "What is there to fear?" Consider well its question. It is asked of you on your behalf. A dying world asks only that you rest an instant from attack upon yourself, that it be healed. Come to the holy instant and be healed, for nothing that is there received is left behind on your returning to the world. And being blessed, you will bring blessing. Life is given you to give the dying world, and suffering eyes no longer will accuse, but shine in thanks to you who blessing gave. The holy instant's radiance will light your eyes and give them sight to see beyond all suffering and see Christ's face instead. Healing replaces suffering. Who looks on one cannot perceive the other, for they cannot both be there. And what you see, the world will witness, and will witness too. This is your healing, everything the world requires. That it must be healed. It needs one lesson that has perfectly been learned. And then, when you forget it, will the world remind you gently of what you have taught. No reinforcement will its thanks withhold from you who let yourself be healed, that it might live. It will call forth its witnesses to show the face of Christ to you, who brought the sight to them, by which they witnessed it. The world of accusation is replaced by one in which all eyes look lovingly upon the friend who brought them their release. And happily, your brother will perceive the many friends he thought were enemies. Problems are not specific, but they take specific forms, and these specific shapes make up the world. And no one understands the nature of his problem. If he did, it would be there no more for him to see. Its very nature is that it is not. And thus, while he perceives it, he cannot perceive it as it is. But healing is apparent in specific instances and generalizes to include them all. This is because they really are the same, despite their different forms. All learning aims at transfer, which becomes complete within two situations that are seen as one, for only common elements are there. Yet this can only be attained by one who does not see the differences you see. The total transfer of your learning is not made by you, but that it has been made in spite of all the differences you see convinces you that they could not be real. Your healing will extend and will be brought to problems that you thought were not your own. And it will also be apparent that your many different problems will be solved, as any one of them has been escaped. It cannot be their differences which made this possible, for learning does not jump from situations to their opposites and bring the same results. All healing must proceed in lawful manner, in accord with laws that have been properly perceived, but never violated. Fear you not the way that you perceive them. You are wrong, but there is one within you who is right. Leave then the transfer of your learning to the one who really understands its laws and who will guarantee that they remain unviolated and unlimited. Your part is merely to apply what he has taught you to yourself, and he will do the rest. And it is thus the power of your learning will be proved to you by all the many different witnesses it finds. Your brother, first among them, will be seen, but thousands stand behind him, and beyond each one of them, there are 1,000 more. Each one may seem to have a problem that is different from the rest, yet they are solved together, and their common answer shows the questions could not have been separate. Peace be to you to whom is healing offered, and you will learn that peace is given you when you accept the healing for yourself. Its total value need not be appraised by you to let you understand that you have benefited from it. What occurred within the instant that love entered in without attack will stay with you forever. Your healing will be one of its effects, as will your brother's. Everywhere you go, will you behold its multiplied effects, yet all the witnesses that you behold will be far less than all there really are. Infinity cannot be understood by merely counting up its separate parts. God thanks you for your healing, for he knows it is a gift of love unto his Son, and therefore is it given unto him. That was beautiful. You know, and here we go again. I don't ever remember reading that. Right? I've read this so many times. It's like, you can't heal unless you accept healing for yourself. And it's like, oh, wow, of course. You can only share what you have, right? It's just like love. You can't love another until you love yourself. Because you can't give what you don't have. You try.
He tried.
Didn't work.
Try again.
No.
No.
I have a big enough problem loving myself.
Do I hear a bah humbug?
No.
Yes.
So that's interesting, right? You have to allow healing for yourself before you can heal another.
I like the part too where it said that about being healed in an instant when you look upon someone with love in the absence of attack. Oh boy, is that going to be a good assignment?
I know, right? And how often are we so bad at receiving? Right? Right. And that was the first sentence, is you have to receive before you can give. You have to receive the healing before you can give it.
Oh boy.
Any comments or thoughts about anything we just read?
There was a lot in there.
There was a lot. I love that it extends and extends and extends, not just to your brother, but to the thousands that stand behind him, and the thousands more that you don't know, that you've never seen, because we're all part of that one mind. Because there really is no other, right?
Wow.
Okay, shall we keep going, or does anybody have anything they want to share before we continue?
I think we can go ahead.
All right, let's keep going. The witnesses to sin. Pain demonstrates the body must be real. It is a loud, obscuring voice who shrieks would silence what the Holy Spirit says and keep his words from your awareness. Pain compels attention, drawing it away from him and focusing upon itself. Its purpose is the same as pleasure, for they both are means to make the body real. What shares a common purpose is the same. This is the law of purpose, which unites all those who share in it within itself. Pleasure and pain are equally unreal because their purpose cannot be achieved. Thus are they means for nothing, for they have a goal without a meaning, and they share the lack of meaning which their purpose has. Sin shifts from pain to pleasure and again to pain. For either witness is the same and carries but one message. You are here within this body, and you can be hurt. You can have pleasure too, but only at the cost of pain. These witnesses are joined by many more. Each one seems different because it has a different name. And so it seems to answer to a different sound. Except for this, the witnesses of sin are all alike. Call pleasure pain and it will hurt. Call pain a pleasure and the pain behind the pleasure will be felt no more. Sin's witnesses but shift from name to name as one steps forward and another back. Yet which is foremost makes no difference. Sin's witnesses hear but the call of death. This body, purposeless within itself, holds all your memories and all your hopes. You use its eyes to see, its ears to hear, and let it tell you what it is it feels. It does not know. It tells you but the names you gave to it to use when you call forth the witnesses to its reality. You cannot choose among them which are real, for anyone you choose is like the rest, this name or that, but nothing more. You choose. You do not make a witness true because you called him by truth's name. The truth is found in him, if it is truth he represents. And otherwise, he lies if you should call him by the holy name of God himself. God's witness sees no witnesses against the body. Neither does he hearken to the witnesses by other names that speak in other ways for its reality. He knows it is not real. For nothing could contain what you believe it holds within, nor could it tell a part of God himself what it should feel and what its function is. Yet must he love whatever you hold dear. And for each witness to the body's death, he sends a witness to your life in him who knows no death. Each miracle he brings is witness that the body is not real. Its pains and pleasures does he heal alike, for all sin's witnesses do his replace. The miracle makes no distinctions in the names by which sin's witnesses are called. It merely proves that what they represent has no effects. And this it proves because its own effects have come to take their place. It matters not the name by which you called your suffering. It is no longer there. The one who brings the miracle perceives them all as one and called by name of fear. As fear is witness unto death, so is the miracle the witness unto life. It is a witness no one can deny, for it is the effects of life it brings. The dying live, the dead arise, and pain has vanished. Yet a miracle speaks not but for itself, but for what it represents. Love, too, has symbols in a world of sin. The miracle forgives because it stands for what is past forgiveness and is true. How foolish and insane it is to think a miracle is bound by laws that it came solely to undo. The laws of sin have different witnesses with different strengths, and they attest to different sufferings. Yet to the one who sends forth miracles to bless the world, a tiny stab of pain, a little worldly pleasure, and the throes of death itself are but a single sound, a call for healing, and a plaintive cry for help within a world of misery. It is their sameness that the miracle attests. It is their sameness that it proves. The laws that call them different are dissolved and shown as powerless. The purpose of a miracle is to accomplish this, and God himself has guaranteed the strength of miracles for what they witness to. Be you then witness to the miracle and not the laws of sin. There's no need to suffer anymore, but there is need that you be healed, because the suffering and sorrow of the world have made it deaf to its salvation and deliverance. The resurrection of the world awaits your healing and your happiness, that you may demonstrate the healing of the world. The holy instant will replace all sin if you but carry its effects with you. And no one will elect to suffer more. What better function could you serve than this? Be healed that you may heal, and suffer not the laws of sin to be applied to you. And truth will be revealed to you who chose to let love's symbols take the place of sin.
One thing I thought of when this first started, Carl, can you go back to like the very first part where it's talking about, I gotta switch out my glasses. It was about pain, and I had this thought in my head about, as we get older, we have aches and pains, and the body, even though the body's not real, it begins to break down, degenerative changes in the joints, aches and pains. And I just had this thought that if someone was able to get to a place where they really did, they were at the enlightenment, does that mean you would be released of all of that physical pain? And is the reason that why is it that as we get older, wiser, and perhaps more receptive to finding a better way, as Helen says, that we are prone to having these bodily aches and pains that reinforce that the body is real when it's not? It was just kind of this little, thought process that I had about pain and aging.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because if you listen to some of Deepak Chopra's teachings, he says that you don't need to age, that's part of the belief system. Body, that the body is real and therefore it ages and therefore it degenerates. It's degenerative. I don't know anybody who's 500 years old, but
Right.
it's just one of those things where, I guess it all goes back to your beliefs about what the body is.
And it's a loop. It's a vicious loop, because
Right.
one leads to the other and reinforces the belief, which,
Yeah.
it's that cyclic nature of your thoughts.
And the interesting thing too is, if you look at an average 60-year-old today compared to a 60-year-old 40 years ago, there is a notable difference. Right? Because 40 years ago looked really old.
Yeah.
And 60 today looks like, 30 or 40, right? So what is age, right? What is that anyway? But I think as we learn more and we discover more about what is true and what is not true, it will probably reflect and how we show up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have the answer other than what we just read.
Yeah.
As far as pain goes, I have my aches and pains, but when I get in the zone, when I'm working, when I'm doing something, it all goes away, because
Right.
I'm in that place. So pain is relative. It's all relative to your frame of mind, and
Right.
in any circumstance,
Right.
and it's all frame of mind. And it's when I have a chance to think about it, that's when the pain comes.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if I don't have if I don't have time to hurt, then I'm not hurting.
Yeah. And I think too, like when you're younger and you're doing something, like, I'll just say, for an example, when I play in a weekend long volleyball tournament, like I would come out of that on Monday and literally not be able to walk. Like I would be in that much pain, but I didn't think to myself, my body's getting old, I'm in pain. It was kind of like, I'll get over it. It's no big deal. If I don't pay attention to it, take a bath, whatever, it's just the body's way of dealing with muscle ripping, growing, it's just that thing. And I
Your
think
body telling you don't do that.
and that too, right? Right. But at the same time, like when you're older, I think people generally don't do the same kind of workouts, or maybe they're not working out at all. So when they try to do simple things, it creates pain because they're using muscles that they're not used to using.
It's
Exactly.
just your body telling you don't do that.
No, it's not your body.
Or it's your body telling you
You should do it.
you should be
You
stretching and
haven't
doing
done enough
things,
of that.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So again, I think it's just part of your belief in it, right? If you can look at your body like it's a computer system, right? And you need to maintain it so that it functions properly. And if you don't maintain it, it probably won't function properly. And, it's kind of part of that, right?
I think a lot about the body, but then I'm trying to find here we go.
Yeah, you are.
But the Course tells us I am not a body.
Right.
And that everything in form is just, I don't know if this is true, but like an ego creation. And same with the body. And like Jesus kind of proved it, that you can't kill him. He was to the point where he could even recreate his body after it died. I think just to prove that we really aren't a body, that our spirit is eternal, that the body is all part of the illusion.
Right.
And I mean, I still struggle with, wanting to feel better physically and trying to tune into what's best for me. And it's true. I got to slow down. The older I get, my mom said it. I didn't believe it when she said, "Oh, you'll slow down someday." I'm like, no way, never. And she was right. But I think it's more like if I tune into the Holy Spirit telling me how much to do and when to rest, and then because I'm not here to keep my body alive forever. I have other lessons to learn. And then when I do, then I think I'll just leave this body and hopefully not leave it real diseased. If I can tune into Holy Spirit and do those things that are right for me, but then I still don't know. I don't know really what all those lessons entail. I think it's no matter what my body's going through, I have to be okay with what is as it is, whether I like it or I don't like it, or if I feel good or I don't feel good. Remember who I am in spite of what the body's going through.
Yeah.
Great share, Pam. That's so true. Yeah, because think about it. If you think you're a body and you think you're limited to that body, right? Your beliefs are going to be all about that limitation. But then if you think about what Seth, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Seth material, you could be in 5 different bodies, including your cats and the tree out in your front yard. And if that's true, then what difference does it make, right? You're everywhere anyway. And of Course in Miracles says you're one with all of your brothers and sisters. So I'm actually all of you and everybody else too. So my body is again, just part of the illusion of who I am right now. But if I can expand my awareness to know who I am in truth, maybe I could feel like the 2-year-old across the street running down the street, because I am also that, right? If we can expand our awareness to really be the truth about who and what we are, that one mind of God. So, it gets a little esoteric, when you start talking about it in terms of that. But I think that's part of it, right? It's part of believing your belief in how expanded you are or how limited you are.
Right. We're not 2 anymore. We don't need to run around like a 2-year-old because we're not 2 anymore. But
Right.
they are us. We are one with that 2-year-old.
Right.
So it's as if we are that 2-year-old.
Yes.
But we don't have to do it physically.
Right. Because our body is not who we are. It's just a vehicle. Right. It's just a vehicle that we can jump from vehicle to vehicle, right? Why not? Why can't we jump from vehicle to vehicle? We're not limited. We're only limited by what we think we're limited by.
And when I forget that I'm not a body, and I forget my husband's not a body who's recovering from cancer, I get fearful. And I catch myself, and he's not the one being fearful about what he's going through. It's me. And then I have to stop and apologize. And I'm saying, I am so sorry. I know you're not sick. I'm being sick when I see sickness.
Right.
And then I have to catch myself and say that out loud and apologize, because it doesn't help for me to look at him like he's sick.
Right.
It doesn't help him at all. It doesn't help me.
That's amazing, Pam, that you have that awareness.
Yeah.
It's a every day,
Yeah.
work at it.
Sure. It's part of it, right? Part of the journey, part of the experience, part of the expansion, right? Yeah, amazing. Well, shall we keep going or do we have more discussion around that? Oh, great shares today. Okay, let's keep going. The dreamer of the dream. Suffering is an emphasis upon all that the world has done to injure you. Here is the world's demented version of salvation, clearly shown. Like to a dream of punishment, in which the dreamer is unconscious of what brought on the attack against himself, he sees himself attacked unjustly and by something not himself. He is the victim of this something else, a thing outside himself, for which he has no reason to be held responsible. He must be innocent because he knows not what he does, but what is done to him. Yet is his own attack upon himself apparent still, for it is he who bears the suffering, and he cannot escape because its source is seen outside himself. Now you are being shown you can escape. All that is needed is you look upon the problem as it is, and not the way that you have set it up. How could there be another way to solve a problem that is very simple, but has been obscured by heavy clouds of complication, which were made to keep the problem unresolved? Without the clouds, the problem will emerge in all its primitive simplicity. The choice will not be difficult, because the problem is absurd when clearly seen. No one has difficulty making up his mind to let a simple problem be resolved if it is seen as hurting him, and also very easily removed. The reasoning by which the world is made, on which it rests, by which it is maintained, is simply this: you are the cause of what I do. Your presence justifies my wrath, and you exist and think apart from me. While you attack, I must be innocent, and what I suffer from is your attack. No one who looks upon this reasoning exactly as it is could fail to see it does not follow, and it makes no sense. Yet it seems sensible because it looks as if the world were hurting you. And so it seems as if there is no need to go beyond the obvious in terms of cause. There is indeed a need. The world's escape from condemnation is a need which those within the world are joined in sharing. Yet they do not recognize their common need. For each one thinks that if he does his part, the condemnation of the world will rest on him. And it is this that he perceives to be his part in its deliverance. Vengeance must have a focus. Otherwise, is the avenger's knife in his own hand and pointed to himself, and he must see it in another's hand. If he would be a victim of attack, he did not choose. And thus he suffers from the wounds a knife he does not hold has made upon himself. This is the purpose of the world he sees. And looked at thus, the world provides the means by which this purpose seems to be fulfilled. The means attest the purpose, but are not themselves a cause. Nor will the cause be changed by seeing it apart from its effects. The cause produces the effects, which then bear witness to the cause and not themselves. Look then beyond effects. It is not here the cause of suffering and sin must lie. And dwell not on the suffering and sin, for they are but reflections of their cause. The part you play in salvaging the world from condemnation is your own escape. Forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what has seen a need for evil in the world. And this is where your guilt was first beheld. In separation from your brother was the first attack upon yourself begun. and it is this the world bears witness to. Seek not another cause, nor look among the mighty legions of its witnesses for its undoing. They support its claim on your allegiance. What conceals the truth is not where you should look to find the truth. The witnesses to sin all stand within one little space. And it is here you find the cause of your perspective on the world. Once you were unaware of what the cause of everything the world appeared to thrust upon you, uninvited and unasked, must really be. Of one thing you were sure. Of all the many causes you perceived as bringing pain and suffering to you, your guilt was not among them. Nor did you in any way request them for yourself. This is how all illusions came about. The one who makes them does not see himself as making them, and their reality does not depend on him. Whatever cause they have is something quite apart from him, and what he sees is separate from his mind. He cannot doubt his dream's reality because he does not see the part he plays in making them and making them seem real. No one can waken from a dream the world is dreaming for him. He becomes a part of someone else's dream. He cannot choose to waken from a dream he did not make. Helpless, he stands, a victim to a dream conceived and cherished by a separate mind. Careless indeed of him, this mind must be, as thoughtless of his peace and happiness as is the weather or the time of day. It loves him not, but casts him as it will in any role that satisfies its dream. So little is his worth that he is but a dancing shadow, leaping up and down according to a senseless plot conceived within the idle dreaming of the world. This is the only picture you can see, the one alternative that you can choose. The other possibility of cause, if you be not the dreamer of your dreams. And this is what you choose if you deny the cause of suffering is in your mind. Be glad indeed it is, for thus are you the one decider of your destiny and time. The choice is yours to make between a sleeping death and dreams of evil, or a happy wakening and joy of life. What could you choose between but life or death, waking or sleeping, peace or war, your dreams or your reality? There is a risk of thinking death is peace, because the world equates the body with the self, which God created. Yet a thing can never be its opposite, and death is opposite to peace, because it is the opposite of life, and life is peace. Awaken and forget all thoughts of death, and you will find you have the peace of God. Yet if the choice is really given you, then you must see the causes of the things you choose between exactly as they are and where they are. What choices can be made between two states, but one of which is clearly recognized? Who could be free to choose between effects when only one is seen as up to him? An honest choice could never be perceived as one in which the choice is split between a tiny you and an enormous world with different dreams about the truth in you. The gap between reality and dreams lies not between the dreaming of the world and what you dream in secret. They are one. The dreaming of the world is but a part of your own dream you gave away and saw as if it were its start and ending both. Yet was it started by your secret dream, which you do not perceive, although it caused the part you see and do not doubt is real. How could you doubt it while you lie asleep and dream in secret that its cause is real? A brother separated from yourself, an ancient enemy, a murderer who stalks you in the night and plots your death, yet plans that it be lingering and slow. Of this you dream, yet underneath this dream is yet another, in which you become the murderer, the secret enemy, the scavenger, and the destroyer of your brother and the world alike. Here is the cause of suffering, space between your little dreams and your reality, the little gap you do not even see, the birthplace of illusions and of fear, the time of terror and of ancient hate, the instant of disaster. All are here. Here is the cause of unreality, and it is here that it will be undone. You are the dreamer of the world of dreams. No other cause it has, nor ever will. Nothing more fearful than an idle dream has terrified God's Son and made him think that he has lost his innocence, denied his Father, and made war upon himself. So fearful is the dream, so seeming real, he could not waken to reality without the sweat of terror and a scream of mortal fear, unless a gentler dream preceded his awakening and allowed his calmer mind to welcome, not to fear, the voice that calls with love to waken him. A gentler dream in which his suffering was healed and where his brother was his friend. God willed he waken gently and with joy, and gave him means to waken without fear. Accept the dream he gave instead of yours. It is not difficult to change a dream when once the dreamer has been recognized. Rest in the Holy Spirit and allow his gentle dreams to take the place of those you dreamed in terror and in fear of death. He brings forgiving dreams in which the choice is not who is the murderer and who shall be the victim. In the dreams he brings, there is no murder and there is no death. The dream of guilt is fading from your sight, although your eyes are closed. A smile has come to lighten up your sleeping face. The sleep is peaceful now, for these are happy dreams. Dream softly of your sinless brother who unites with you in holy innocence. And from this dream, the Lord of heaven will himself awaken his beloved Son. Dream of your brother's kindnesses instead of dwelling in your dreams on his mistakes. Select his thoughtfulness to dream about instead of counting up the hurts he gave. Forgive him his illusions and give thanks to him for all the helpfulness he gave. And do not brush aside his many gifts, because he is not perfect in your dreams. He represents his Father, whom you see as offering both life and death to you. Brother, he gives but life. Yet what you see as gifts, your brother offers represent the gifts you dream your Father gives to you. Let all your brother's gifts be seen in light of charity and kindness offered you, and let no pain disturb your dream of deep appreciation for his gifts to you.
Well, I'd say that's relevant.
Yeah, you think? I'm on Alicia.
Oh boy, oh boy.
It's so relevant. And I just was seeing myself, okay, I had a 17-year marriage where I just looked at my husband's errors and I built it up till I divorced him. And now we're friends.
Yeah.
And he can be exactly who he is. And, I don't even know if the word forget, he doesn't need forgiveness. It's not like I feel like, oh, I've forgiven him for anything. No, I don't think of, and there was a time I never thought I could get to that point with him. but I did, and it's awesome. But I can still catch myself looking at my husband now, and saying, "Oh, this is not right. This should be better." But at least now they don't build up. I
Yeah.
catch myself. If I've said anything out loud, I will apologize and correct the way I'm looking at things. So that's some really good news. And I was
Yeah.
studying the course with that my ex-husband, and it just takes a while. It
You're
just
right. It
takes a
does.
while.
It does
A-
take a
and
while.
and I love that I can, if I'm just projecting my fears, I love that when I'm in my Course in Miracle groups, you all love me no matter what. You see right through that's not me, and I feel completely, safe,
Mhm.
in my imperfection.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be perfect.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't. I
Well,
can't be.
I don't know if you got the
We're
backstory,
all
Pam.
perfect.
Yeah, we're all perfect, right? The
Yeah.
backstory to that, Pam, is because you signed on a little bit later, is my daughter's getting married in 2 weeks, and she's doing a destination wedding in Jamaica. So it's like a week-long vacation, and then a wedding's going to break out. And her father and I divorced about 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And I, subsequent to that, found out a whole bunch of stuff that I've really been working very hard to release and not be a victim of, and so on. So I get it, but releasing it from that perceived hurt has been a challenge. So that's why I said I've been working very hard on my attitude and everything. And I mean, he's gonna be there. And so I've got to figure out a way to just, it's not about me, it's Jana's day. And I think one of my biggest challenges too is to just kind of roll with, I allow him to trigger me. That's going to be a challenge. Well, actually, I want to look at it like it's not going to be a challenge. I daydream about having this peaceful, a peaceful conversation with no animosity. And, that's really my end game. At this point, I'm quite certain that he would not be receptive to any discussion about anything. And I'm hoping I'm wrong. So, it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. But this was real. When I say the relevance of this was huge, but it was about, forgive him and his illusions and give thanks to him for all the helpfulness he gave, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have my daughter, and my daughter means the world to me. So I do have to, that was really helpful for me, to focus on the gifts of that relationship and what came out of it. And I also know for a fact that there's no way that I'd be where I'm at now, and I would have had the amount of personal growth that I've had if I still had my wagon hitched to that star. And he's just kind of continued down the path of drugs, alcohol. His brain is addled. I mean, my daughter, who she's an NP, a nurse practitioner, and kind of thinks that maybe there's some early onset dementia stuff going on too. So I just have to, like I said, I keep my attitude in check, meet him where he is, and thank him for everything that he's brought to my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think of that too in all of the relationships I've been in, which there's been a lot. And you tend to, initially everything's wonderful, right? Because everything's going the way you thought it would go. And, all of these promises are being made. And then as the promises don't seem to live up to your expectations, right? You start to create this story of being a victim, right? And if you're the victim, then someone else has to be the perpetrator.
Yes.
Right. So it's interesting how it just continues to play out over and over and over again until you finally get to that place where you can just be love. And it sounds like, Pam, you are a great example of that, where you're at that place where you see it's coming. You see that your mind is trying to go into that place of wanting to be the victim. Your fear, right, is saying, oh, you've been, you're not being respected, you're not being appreciated, or, whatever the story is, right? Instead of realizing that, we're all powerful children of God. Like there's nothing that we don't have. There's nothing we can't do,
Yeah.
right? And we don't need our partner's permission or our partner's anything to be who we are, but we have these expectations, right? That we put on the other. And then we just become the victim. And it's that story. And once we can stop that story and realize that we are wonderful beings of light and love, and in that we share that light and love and have no expectations of our partner outside of that.
I mean, the funny thing is I've been dealing with for the last 4 or 5 years is that all at myself. Is I'm the biggest accuser of myself than
Mhm.
anybody is. And I can forgive anybody, but forgiving myself is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Finding my own happiness within my own.
Or even loving yourself,
Oh,
it's an inside job, right?
Mhm.
It is absolutely an inside job, and full-time job too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one more section to read. We might be able to get it in before the end, and it is the last section of the chapter. Do you guys want to go for it?
Sure.
Have at it.
All right. Let's do it. The hero of the dream. The body is the central figure in the dreaming of the world. There is no dream without it, nor does it exist without the dream in which it acts as if it were a person to be seen and to be believed. It takes the central place in every dream, which tells the story of how it was made by other bodies born into the world. Outside the body lives a little while and dies to be united in the dust with other bodies dying like itself. In the brief time allotted it to live, it seeks for other bodies as its friends and enemies. Its safety is its main concern. Its comfort is its guiding rule. It tries to look for pleasure and avoid the things that would be hurtful. Above all, it tries to teach itself its pains and joys are different and can be told apart. The dreaming of the world takes many forms because the body seeks in many ways to prove it is autonomous and real. It puts things on itself that it has bought with little metal discs or paper strips the world proclaims as valuable and real. It works to get them doing senseless things and tosses them away for senseless things it does not need and does not even want. It hires other bodies that they may protect it and collect more senseless things that it can call its own. It looks about for special bodies that can share its dream. Sometimes it dreams it is a conqueror of bodies weaker than itself. But in some phases of the dream, it is the slave of bodies that would hurt and torture it. The body's serial adventures from the time of birth to dying are the theme of every dream the world has ever had. The hero of this dream will never change, nor will its purpose. Though the dream itself takes many forms and seems to show a great variety of places and events wherein its hero finds itself, the dream has but one purpose, taught in many ways. The single lesson does it try to teach again, and still again, and yet once more, that it is cause and not effect. And you are its effect and cannot be its cause. Thus, you are not the dreamer, but the dream. And so you wander idly in and out of places and events that it contrives. That this is all the body does is true, but it is but a figure in a dream. But who reacts to figures in a dream unless he sees them as if they were real? The instant that he sees them as they are, they have no more effects on him, because he understands he gave them their effects by causing them and making them seem real. How willing are you to escape the effects of all the dreams the world has ever had? Is it your wish to let no dream appear to be the cause of what it is you do? Then let us merely look upon the dream's beginning, for the part you see is but the second part, whose cause lies in the first. No one asleep and dreaming in the world remembers his attack upon himself. No one believes there really was a time when he knew nothing of a body and could never have conceived this world as real. He would have seen at once that these ideas are one illusion, too ridiculous for anything but to be laughed away. How serious they now appear to be. And no one can remember when they would have met with laughter and with disbelief. We can remember this if we but look directly at their cause, and we will see the grounds for laughter, not a cause for fear. Let us return the dream he gave away unto the dreamer, who perceives the dream as separate from himself and done to him. Into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny, mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. In his forgetting, did the thought become a serious idea and possible of both accomplishment and real effects? Together, we can laugh them both away and understand that time cannot intrude upon eternity. It is a joke to think that time can come to circumvent eternity, which means there is no time. A timelessness in which is time made real, a part of God that can attack itself, a separate brother as an enemy, a mind within a body, all are forms of circularity whose ending starts at its beginning, ending at its cause. The world you see depicts exactly what you thought you did, except that now you think that what you did is being done to you. The guilt for what you thought is being placed outside yourself and on a guilty world that dreams your dreams and thinks your thoughts instead of you. It brings its vengeance, not your own. It keeps you narrowly confined within a body, which it punishes because of all the sinful things the body does within its dream. You have no power to make the body stop its evil deeds because you did not make it and cannot control its actions, nor its purpose, nor its fate. The world but demonstrates an ancient truth. You will believe that others do to you exactly what you think you did to them. But once deluded into blaming them, you will not see the cause of what they do because you want the guilt to rest on them. How childish is the petulant device to keep your innocence by pushing guilt outside yourself, but never letting go. It is not easy to perceive the jest when all around you do your eyes behold its heavy consequences, but without their trifling cause. Without the cause do its effects seem serious and sad indeed, yet they but follow, and it is their cause that follows nothing and is but a jest. In gentle laughter does the Holy Spirit perceive the cause and looks not to the effects. How else could he correct your error? You who have overlooked the cause entirely. He bids you bring each terrible effect to him, that you may look together on its foolish cause and laugh with him a while. You judge effects, but he has judged their cause, and by his judgments are effects removed. Perhaps you come in tears, but hear him say, "My brother, Holy Son of God, behold your idle dream in which this could occur," and you will leave the holy instant with your laughter and your brother's joined with his. The secret of salvation is but this, that you are doing this unto yourself, no matter what the form of the attack. This still is true. Whoever takes the role of enemy and of attacker Still, is this the truth? Whatever seems to be the cause of any pain and suffering you feel, this is still true. For you would not react to all the figures in a dream you knew that you were dreaming. Let them be as hateful and as vicious as they may. They could have no effect on you unless you failed to recognize it is your dream. This single lesson learned will set you free from suffering, whatever form it takes. The Holy Spirit will repeat this one inclusive lesson of deliverance until it has been learned, regardless of the form of suffering that brings you pain. Whatever hurt you bring to him, he will make answer with this very simple truth. For this one answer takes away the cause of every form of sorrow and of pain. The form affects his answers not at all, for he would teach you but the single cause of all of them, no matter what their form. And you will understand that miracles reflect the simple statement, I have done this thing, and it is this I would undo. Bring then all forms of suffering to him who knows that everyone is like the rest. He sees no differences where none exist, and he will teach you how each one is caused. None has a different cause from all the rest, and all of them are easily undone by but a single lesson truly learned. Salvation is a secret you have kept from yourself. The universe proclaims it so, yet to its witnesses, you pay no heed at all, for they attest the thing you do not want to know. They seem to keep it secret from you, yet you need but learn you chose but not to listen, not to see. How differently will you perceive the world when this is recognized? When you forgive the world your guilt, you will be free of it. Its innocence does not demand your guilt, nor does your guiltlessness rest on its sins. This is the obvious, a secret kept from no one but yourself. And it is this that has maintained you separate from the world and kept your brother separate from you. Now need you but learn that both of you are innocent or guilty. The one thing that is impossible is that you be unlike each other, that they both be true. This is the only secret yet to learn, and it will be no secret you are healed.
One thing that again made me a little confused, where it was talking about, the metal discs and the pieces of paper and doing ridiculous tasks, and the analogy about working for a living and making money and stuff, and almost trivializing it like it's ridiculous because it's all part of the illusion, but yet it's a necessary part for us to be in this world that we've created. So I was really confused by that, kind of conflicted, like if you don't need it, but you need it. So which is it?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to be in the world, but not of it.
Of it, yeah.
Right. And so when you are being of service in whatever way you are sharing your gifts, allow that to be your instrument for however you show up in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I guess I can explain my experience of that by saying, when we hit that recession a long time ago, and I had my interior design business, and I had my house to pay for, and my kids' school, and my cars, and my insurance, and my health insurance, and I was a single mom, and I was freaking out because nobody was hiring anybody, right? And I started going into that place of fear, and I wanted to just not get out of bed. But I had already experienced depression, like a really dark depression, and I knew that I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't go down that hole because it would be really hard to dig myself out of that hole again. But instead, I used my gratitude. Three
Right.
things I'm grateful for, right? I started there to kind of just choose love instead of fear. It's simple, right? Simple, but not easy. So instead of aligning with fear, I did whatever I could do to align with love. And then in in doing gratitude, I went to the next thing that was be of service. Okay, no one's paying for my interior design. How can I give this away? How can I just give? I have all this time because nobody's hiring me. I'm not making money, but I have all this time. I have these gifts. I have this talent, and I can help people. So I started doing the Rooms to Heal, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I did that for like 2 months without anybody hiring me to do any work for them. But I was so focused and so happy to be giving, and I could see like the results of that, right? And I could see how it made such a difference in these people's lives. And then all of a sudden, my phone just started ringing. And people just started calling me and hiring me, even though we still had a recession. But I think it was because I was kind of vibrating at a different energetic level, kind of like a law of attraction kind of thing, which doesn't make any sense because it's still within the illusion, right? It's still within the illusion. But how can you get to that place where we forgot to laugh? The only way to get to that place is to not be in a place of fear, right? So it's kind of like what Pam was saying. She looks at her husband and she feels bad because she sees him as being sick, but he doesn't see himself that way, right? So it's like, wait a minute, whose nightmare am I living? Am I living my nightmare, or am I living the nightmare of the dream, right? So when it goes back to what nightmare was I living? Was I living my nightmare of there isn't enough? Or was it my story that there wasn't enough, that I was in lack and poverty? But as soon as I got into that place of abundance, because I was sharing and giving everything that I had, then abundance was returned to me.
Everything turned around for you.
It turned around. So it's kind of like, yes, do you need all those things to be in this world? Yes. But if you go after it from a place of lack and a place of fear, it's going to be a struggle, right? Whereas if you go after it from a place of, I have enough and I'm abundant, and I'm not going to forget to laugh because I know I'm making all of this up, then the world responds accordingly. It's a weird paradox.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very strange paradox, but you have to get your mind to that place of no fear in order to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I see that as miracles happening, and miracles happen in the world. I don't think miracles are necessary when we're beyond the world.
Right.
So that's that in-between stage where miracles can happen. We're here in form.
Right. That makes sense. Of course.
I had a similar experience I think it was in February, where I was thinking, man, if I have the gift of longevity like my mother, I've been taking a lot of draws. I did a lot of traveling this year, so no regrets on that. I'm so grateful that I did it. But I'm like, I've been taking a lot of draws on my retirement stuff. Maybe I should just maybe get a job. I got a lot of time on my hands, and that's not always a good thing. So I put it out there that I was gonna start doing a little bit of work. So I reconnected with the mom of a child that I worked with years ago, who's now a 30-year-old young man, still with special needs. And I was going to be doing some caregiver stuff for this young man. And but I had to onboard with this other company, and I was waiting to I was going that morning to get my fingerprinting done. And I had put out in my head that the day before, I said, there was a local physical therapist I used to work with 1 day a week. And I was like, I wish he would call me again, because that 1 day a week gig would be perfect. It's right here in town. And I'll be darned if 7:30 that morning, he didn't text me and say, hey, Leash, how would you feel about working 1 day a week? And it was like, oh my gosh. And it has turned out to be the best thing, the best thing. You know, it's gas and grocery money, but I still have a few synapses that are connected. I'm excited about that. He's had quite a few students in the office, so I'm able to give the gifts of teaching what I've learned in my 40 years in the field. And so it's definitely been a huge plus in my life. But I just
awesome.
I put it out there, and
yeah,
he heard, so it was great.
That's wonderful.
Same thing happened to me with Gedney. You know, I wanted the gig that I was only working 4 days a week. and that I got time off in the winter. And it just dropped right in my lap. But there's all through my life, that kind of thing. I don't worry about things. I don't worry. I'll find a place to stay. I'll find something will happen, and it always does. I don't doubt it, and
That's awesome. That's wonderful. So that's it.
We must have scared Pam.
We did, well, it's 1:30, 1:40 already, so she probably had to drop.
Ah, okay.
So, all right, guys, happy Thanksgiving, and see you next week.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Great conversation as usual.
Love
All
you.
right. Bye, guys. Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.